Welcome back to Wisdom Unveiled, everybody. We're diving into episode 8 now. Still exploring the fascinating world of Iranian philosophical thought with, Saadi of Shiraz at the heart of it all. And as always, a quick reminder for our listeners, everything we discuss here is a translation, right? So we're working with conversations with Iranian philosophers like Dr. Ebrahim Dinani and Dr. Esmail Mansouri Larijani. And, with translation, things can get a little lost in the process. So please bear with us if some details don't come across perfectly. We do apologize for any discrepancies.
Thanks for that.
All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to tackle a pretty big topic, Saadi's take on love.
Yeah, and it's not quite the typical love story you might think of.
Right. We're not talking about, just the fleeting romantic kind of love.
Exactly.
We're going way deeper than that. Saadi's concept of love is all about the essence of what it means to be human, to really exist.
And to really grasp what Saadi's saying, we need to put it into context. Sufism plays a huge role here. It's a mystical branch of Islam, and it really influenced Saadi's work.
That makes a lot of sense. Saadi's a master of using all these symbols and metaphors. It's really how he gets those complex spiritual ideas across.
You got it. And one of the most powerful images he uses, it's classic Saadi the moth drawn to a flame. I'm sure you've heard that one before.
Oh, absolutely. Such a powerful image. But what's the deeper meaning behind it in Saadi's work? What's he getting at?
Well, think about it like this. In Sufism, the moth represents the soul, and that flame, that symbolizes the divine. The moth's desperate pursuit of the flame, even if it means, self-destruction that reflects the soul's ultimate yearning for union with God.
So it goes way beyond just physical attraction.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor for this profound spiritual longing.
Exactly. That longing, that yearning, it's the core of Saadi's understanding of love. He sees it as a driving force.
Yeah.
It pushes us to understand ourselves and our place in the grand scheme of things.
I see. So it's like this driving force within us. I get it. But there's a bit of a paradox here, isn't there? This intense yearning, so strong that you're willing to be consumed by it.
You hit the nail on the head. And Saadi's not afraid of that paradox. He's upfront about it. Love can be both incredibly exciting and incredibly painful. Joy and sorrow all wrapped up together.
It reminds me of another image Saadi uses a lot, the burning candle. It's not just a symbol of love, but also a way to represent the human heart.
That's such a great point. Just like the heart, the candle can light up the darkness. But at the same time, it can be consumed by its own flame. It's a pretty powerful reminder that our capacity for love and for suffering, they're deeply connected.
Are you saying that, according to Saadi, pain is just an inevitable part of love?
I wouldn't say inevitable. It's more like a built-in possibility. Think of it this way. Opening ourselves up to love makes us vulnerable. And with vulnerability comes the risk of getting hurt.
I can see that. But doesn't that make love seem kind of discouraging? Why even bother if you're just going to get hurt? Does Saadi offer any advice on how to deal with that potential for heartbreak?
He does, actually. Saadi's not saying we should avoid love to avoid pain. He's all about building inner strength, becoming resilient. He wants us to approach love with courage, not fear, embracing all the ups and downs that come with being human.
So it's finding a balance between vulnerability and strength.
Absolutely. And that's where Saadi's idea of self-knowledge comes in. He truly believed that understanding ourselves, our deepest selves, is key to navigating love and relationships.
Right. And I remember him making that comparison of the mind to a wild horse that needs taming.
There you go. Perfect example. For Saadi, our thoughts and emotions can run wild if we don't get them under control. That's why he advocated for practices like meditation and contemplation. Even just focusing on our breath, it's all about taming that wild horse of the mind.
It's about having that self-discipline, that inner mastery.
Right. And for Saadi, that mastery is what allows us to cultivate the qualities we need to really experience and nurture love. Things like patience, forgiveness, understanding.
We're going to get more into all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
That's right. More to come. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, you've got me hooked. I can't wait to hear more about Saadi's perspective on patience, forgiveness, and understanding, and how they all fit into the bigger picture of love.
We'll definitely get into all of that. Stay tuned.
You were saying Saadi really focuses on patience, forgiveness, understanding. These are like the building blocks for love. Why are those qualities so important to him?
You see, Saadi knew that love, it's not always smooth sailing. It's not all sunshine and roses, Relationships are messy, there are bumps in the road, disagreements, frustrations, letdowns. It's all part of the deal.
So that's where those qualities come into play, right?
Okay.
To navigate those rough patches.
Exactly. Take patience, for instance. It's what helps us handle those challenges with grace, with a little bit of wisdom sprinkled in. Patience lets us take a step back instead of just reacting, Really listen to the other person, try to see their perspective, respond with empathy instead of anger.
It's like creating that space for understanding instead of just getting caught up in the heat of the moment.
That's it. And Saadi, he's not saying patience is about being passive or like bottling up your feelings. It's about having that inner strength, responding thoughtfully, even when you're feeling triggered or upset.
Makes sense. It's like that wild horse analogy again. Patience is about being the rider, not letting the horse just run wild with your emotions.
Exactly. Now, alongside patience, Saadi really stresses forgiveness.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real, in any relationship, you're going to get hurt sometimes, disappointed, maybe even betrayed. It happens.
Yeah, and holding on to that resentment, that bitterness, it can poison a relationship pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Saadi believed forgiveness is the key to breaking free from all that anger, all that resentment that weighs you down. It doesn't mean you have to condone bad behavior. But it does mean choosing to let go of the pain from the past so you can actually move forward.
So in a way, forgiveness, it's not just about the other person. It's an act of self-love too, right?
Yeah. I love that. It's beautifully put. When you forgive, you're freeing yourself from that prison of anger and resentment you've built. It opens up space for healing, for compassion.
But I mean, forgiveness, it's easier said than done,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes it feels almost impossible to let go of those really painful feelings.
You're telling me it can be incredibly tough, especially if you've been really hurt. But Saadi reminds us that forgiveness, it's a process. It's not like you flip a switch and it's done. It takes time. And often it means you got to look inward, examine your own patterns, your reactions.
Self-awareness, compassion, it all ties together.
It does. And that brings us to understanding the third quality Saadi really emphasizes. He knew better than anyone that we each experience the world in our own way, shaped by our background, our experiences, our beliefs.
It's so true. It's easy to forget that. We get stuck in our own heads, our own perspectives, and miss the other person's point of view.
And that's where understanding comes in. Saadi's all about cultivating empathy, really trying to see the world through someone else's eyes, even if you don't agree with them, with what they do or believe.
It's about realizing that everyone's on their own journey, right? Facing their own struggles, doing the best they can with what they've got.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that kind of understanding, it's powerful stuff. It
Right.
allows us to move past judgment and criticism, to connect with our shared humanity, what binds us all together.
You know, it makes me think of that Sufi idea, Khuloos, we talked about.
Oh, perfect connection. Khuloos. It's often translated as like purity or sincerity, but it's also about this idea of wholeness, interconnectedness, seeing that we're not these isolated beings, but part of something much bigger.
And that sense of connection, of belonging, it deepens our capacity for love, for compassion.
100%. When you can see yourself in the other person, recognize their humanity as your own, it's so much easier to extend love, patience, forgiveness, all of it just flows.
Saadi's almost giving us a roadmap here, a guide to cultivating a more compassionate, fulfilling way of relating to ourselves and others.
I'd say that's a great way to sum it up. He's showing us that love, it's not just a fleeting feeling or a fairy tale romance. It's an active choice, a way of being in the world. And it takes effort, dedication, and a willingness to really nurture these qualities. Patience, forgiveness, understanding.
And he believed these qualities are not just for personal happiness, but they're essential for creating a better world, a more just society.
You're absolutely right. For Saadi, love was a transformative force, not just for individuals, but for the world as a whole.
So he's talking about a love that goes beyond just romantic love. It's about how we approach all our relationships, all our interactions.
That's exactly it. And that brings us to another really interesting aspect of Saadi's teachings. His own life experiences. He wasn't just some scholar or poet living in an ivory tower. He was a traveler, a keen observer of human nature. And he faced his fair share of hardships.
It makes you wonder how those experiences shaped his views on love, on relationships. Did he actually practice what he preached? It really makes you think, you know. Writing about love and compassion is one thing, but actually living by those principles, especially when things get tough, it's a whole different story.
You said it. That's what makes Saadi so compelling, so real. He didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. Exile, hardship, he went through a lot, but he never lost sight of what mattered. Love, kindness, compassion.
His life was a testament to his own teachings, almost like proving their power through his own experiences.
Yeah, you could say that. And what's remarkable is he didn't become jaded, bitter. Instead, those hardships seem to have made him even more empathetic, even more committed to living a life guided by love and wisdom.
As if those challenges, those tough times, were all part of his own personal journey of self-discovery and transformation.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. And, it circles back to what we were talking about before. Saadi's belief in cultivating inner strength, building resilience. He didn't run from suffering. He embraced it. He saw it as part of the human experience, something we all go through.
But he didn't let it break him. He took those experiences and used them to grow, to deepen his understanding of the world.
Exactly. And that's a powerful message for us all, I think. Life, throws curveballs, challenges, it's inevitable. But the way we react to those challenges, that shapes us. Saadi shows us that we can choose to come out stronger, more compassionate, more resilient.
It's inspiring to think that even when things are difficult, when we're facing adversity, we still have that choice. We can choose love, we can choose kindness.
And that choice, as Saadi believed, it ripples outwards. When we choose love, we transform ourselves, yes, but we also help create a more loving, compassionate world.
So it's not just about individual happiness, it's a much bigger picture. It's about the well-being of everyone, human flourishing as a whole.
That's exactly right. And that vision, that hope, it shines through all of Saadi's work. Love, for him, is the strongest force there is. A force that heals, connects, inspires us to be the best versions of ourselves.
This has been such an amazing deep dive into Saadi's world. His wisdom, centuries old, it feels so relevant, especially today. The world can feel so divided, so disconnected.
I couldn't agree more. His teachings offer a timeless guide, a way to navigate the complexities of life and love with wisdom, compassion, and courage. Things we all need a bit more of, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this exploration of Saadi's philosophy of love, is there one key takeaway, one idea you hope our listeners will carry with them?
I think Saadi would want us to remember that love isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's a constant process of learning, growing, making the choice to connect, to open our hearts to ourselves and others, even when things are tough, when there's uncertainty.
That's beautiful. A reminder that love isn't something we find, it's something we nurture, something we practice every single day.
And Saadi believed that the rewards of that practice are beyond measure. Love transforms us, our relationships, and yes, even the world around us.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. This has been a truly enlightening conversation. I've learned so much.
The pleasure's all mine. I always enjoy exploring the richness of Saadi's thoughts, his work. It's something special.
And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the heart of Saadi's philosophy of love. May his wisdom inspire you to cultivate more love, compassion, and connection in your own lives. Until next time, may your journeys be filled with beauty, meaning, and inspiration.